So if you weren't attracted to him, you saying you'd leave? Is that what you're saying?
No,
you don't want to have sex with him anymore. Though.
No,
at some point, something may happen. You don't want to have sex with him.
You don't want to have sex with them.
This happens to women all the time.
I don't
sex with him
don't
anymore.
want to have sex with him. Just because I don't want to have sex with him, if that makes sense.
So if you guys don't want to have sex with him because you don't want to have sex with him, would you leave?
I would leave.
Would you leave? Raise your hand if you would leave. You just don't want to have sex with him anymore. Who would leave? You'd leave? And you would leave? Would you leave?
Oh, married?
I mean, how
you
long?
were married.
No. How long is that going to last? I mean, like, you could be just
the rest of your life. You don't want to have sex. But he wants to have sex with you, but you don't want to have sex with him.
Yeah, if you're not attracted no more sexually.
Do it anyways.
You do it anyways? Anybody else? What do you say?
I would stay.
Who would leave? Who would leave? Raise your hand. You would leave? You would leave. And nobody else?
Can we try fun stuff, like something different?
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Bring 2 or 3 of his friends over for sure.
Oh, wow.
You mean her? You mean her friends over?
Again, so the answer is a lot of women would leave, and 80% of divorces are initiated by
Women.
Right.
Okay, guys, you guys understand that's the thing.
Right.
But what are the statistics with kids though? With the divorce?
I don't know. Is there a difference? There probably is because
I'm sure they at least.
So here's the
wait
thing.
till
I would believe that it would, because as you get further along in a marriage, the likelihood of divorce actually increases. I think up to a certain point.
Probably.
But younger on in the marriage, you're less likely to have kids. So I'll bet those two stats might cancel each other out. I don't know. That's a good question though. That's definitely a really awesome question.
I think you should just get to reevaluate your marriage after.
I love the idea of like a marriage license is like a driver's license.
Right. No, every 3 years we need to check its temperature.
No, what you need to do is have a fake wedding.
The problem is, ladies, women would opt out of marriage in outrageous numbers if we did.
You don't have to get really actually married. You can just get your friend to be the freaking pastor and do the freaking whole wedding. And
no, but
if you get a marriage license, it's not really.
It's called common law. You're already common law after 6 months.
Yeah, there's no common law.
That's not in every state. That's not in every state. No, it's not in every state.
So to back up what you said, this is from Rolf Dengen. Sex is concentrated within a small yet sexually active group of people. While the number of young men who reported having no sexual experience is increasing, there are also men who have more sex partners than ever before. In 2002, the most sexually active top 20% of American heterosexual men had 12 lifetime sex partners, while the top 5% had 38.
Jesus.
10 years later, the most sexually active top 20.
Whoa, talk about that's 2002. Who here? You live here in Las Vegas. How many of you know a dude who's been with 38 girls? Raise your hand.
Oh, 100%.
Raise your hand. Don't all of you. What are you doing, girl? You were with a rapper today who had 30. How many? How many of you know one dude?
It's still early in the night.
How many of you guys know? How many of you know more? Time out. How many of you know more than 5 guys you know that have been with more than 38 women? Raise your hand if you know more than 5. You work at a Fit Club LV. Raise your fucking hand.
I know 20.
You're in LA.
Okay, so you know 5 guys at least that have been with at least 38 partners. Go ahead.
But it depends on what state you're in.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I think city. No, it doesn't.
Continuing.
Keep going.
10 years later, the most sexually active top 20% now report 15 lifetime sex partners, and the top 5% of men reported 50 lifetime.
So what's happened is the number of men with no sex is increasing, and the number of men at top are getting even more sex.
Yes.
What?
Yes. From 38 to 50 in 10 years. And by the way, that's only 2002 to 2000.
You need to watch out with this misinformation that you're spreading, because it almost sounds like there's a crisis in dating. But watch out with that misinformation.
Yes. And if you'd like the links to any of these, I'm more than happy to provide them for you to give to you. But unlike some other people, the distribution of the number of sex partners among heterosexual men was skewed already, but in just 10 years, the distribution became even more skewed. During the same time, there was no such change in the number of sexual partners for heterosexual women.
Wait a second. So women are having the same number of sex partners, but there's a bunch of guys fucking more women. What does that indicate? What does that seem like?
Sex is
Drake? Drake?
Oh, I do not like Drake.
Big Mo, I need that sound drop.
Sex, I like Drake.
Thank God there's another person.
Forget whether you like Drake. Do you think Drake fucks a lot of women?
Oh, he has a child with a porn star.
Okay, thank you. My point. That's my point. My point is, what's happened is
porn stars can have families.
What I'm saying is, women are not.
I know.
Women are not distributing their sexual acts. So what I'm saying is, men, it's going like this. It's like nothing. Average is like 5, and then once we get up here, we're going up to like what did he say before? 50?
Yeah.
Okay, we're at 50. That's 10 years ago. Yes. Let's catch up to today.
Okay. So here we go. No sex.
I'm sure everything evens out in 2023.
It stops right here.
I'm sure Instagram had no effect on any of this.
Right.
I'm sure Instagram didn't help a certain group of men fuck a ton of women. I'm sure that's not what happened.
Okay,
let's go ahead.
Let me put the last...
shout out to Dan Bilzerian. I'm sure none of this affected anybody.
I will now put the final coffin nail in the coffin. Sex is concentrated within a small yet sexually active group of people. In one study, it was reported that 5% of the population with the highest number of vaginal sex acts, we're not talking about Hummers now, okay, accounted for more vaginal sex acts than the bottom 50% of the population with the lowest number of sex acts.
Guys, understand, that means the top 5% of guys were literally fucking as much as the bottom 50%.
That's crazy.
Like all combined, that's what was happening.
I hope they're all using protection.
Does that
It sounds like a lot of STDs.
Does that sound like but does that sound like a normal distribution to you, or does that sound like there's a few guys getting a lot of sex? What does that sound like?
You guys are getting a lot of sex.
Man, better watch out. Sounds like a crisis. Better stop giving this information, bro.
Yeah, and again, I'll be happy to supply the links to all of these because people think we don't have them. Okay, now this is from Rob Henderson. This is from a New York Times. This is a different study. More than a quarter. This is the modern one. More than a quarter of Americans hadn't had sex even once in the past year. That figure includes, and by the way, this is not 2020. This is from February of this year. That figure includes almost 30% of men under 30, a figure that has tripled since 2008. In the 1990s, half of Americans were having sex weekly or more. That figure is now under 40%.
What about women?
That's for women.
Because when's the last time everybody here has had sex?
We can go around the table
with
now,
myself.
if you'd like.
Does that count?
Because then
Did you get paid for it? That's what. Then it counts. Then it counts.
As soon as Sydney left my apartment last night, the millisecond Sydney left my apartment last night, magically sex happened. I don't know what happened.
I said, bye, guys, and they ran away.